Okay, guys, we are back. Just like gum on the bottom of your shoe that you can't get rid of.
Well, I like that one song. We're back in the saddle. We are back. We are back in the saddle again. There's that kind, and then there's the other kind of back in the saddle. But nonetheless, here we are. Great to see you. Hello there, Martine. Good to see you first. None ya business, just for you. Hello there, our dearest KK. Good to see you, Robbie. Miss Jen and the birds. Hello. I hope they're all well. Good. Hello there, John. Let's see. Did I get anyone else? You guys are. Hello there, K-Head. Stan. Good to see you. Miss Christine Love. I hope that little angel is just being an angel. And Sir Veldon. Hello. Good to see you. Challenging times, starseeds. It is. It really is, Veldon. For a lot of people, the sensitives that are so sensitive really are feeling it because of our sensitivity. We're going through this, and it's not an easy time. So give yourself a lot of grace and understanding. So there's that.
Mr. Mark Mucci, good to see you. Hope everything is well down there in Florida. Oneness, much love. Always great to see you. Renee O'Leary. Yes, glad you are here. Yeah, it's just crazy. It just keeps getting crazier. And so Susan Donahue, another San Francisco coaster. Actually, there's like three of you guys in the same area right there. A lot of soul family here. This is really wonderful to get back together. Even though we were live for an hour and a half with our buddy, R. Wayne Steiger, it was a great live, and we just had so much to talk about. An hour and a half went by like a blink of an eye. I mean, when we get together, it just rolls. It just absolutely rolls. And I really hope at some time we'll get to stop by Wayne somewhere in Missouri and maybe spend some time with him. And, maybe we could stop and spend some time with Jen and the birds on the way, too. It would be wonderful if we're able to get out there on the road once again. But when you have chance, check out today's live. Again, we want to thank everybody for your support on Patreon, also on Ko-Fi, and, also, again, with memberships on YouTube. And YouTube keeps hitting me with wanting to raise the membership amount. They give me a pop-up every single time right now. I didn't really look at it yet, but Cindy and me, you guys know us. We're not money first by any means.
No, it's frustrating and quite honestly uncomfortable because we don't want to do anything like that. So, I mean, as far as I know, they're not threatening to shut us down, but a lot of times what they do is they'll start nudging you, and Mike and I are just really uncomfortable to go with, anything higher. So we will definitely keep it where it's at as long as possible. If it goes up, it was not something that we wanted. It would be more of a forced thing.
The one thing that's interesting about it, though, is the fact that they're talking about it in relation to exchange rates. Exchange rates, guys. So here in the U.S., what are they telling us? They're telling us the value of the dollar is going down, and it's going to go down drastically. They know everything. They know everything before it unfolds for the public. Now, we kind of know what's coming too. There's going to be a massive dollar devaluation. I really think at some point in the not too distant future, probably within 18 months, more than likely, we might not, any of us, be able to get our money out of our banks. I think that is coming. Not that we'll never get it out of our banks, but they're going to do the big economic switch in the United States and in Europe. Maybe not in other places. This is, again, where if you're in the right zone, you might not have that bumpy ride at all. But I think, again, the United States and let's say Western Europe for sure, Europe on the whole, certainly anybody in the EU, we're going to have a bumpy ride. That's coming. It's been part of everything that's been programmed for a very, very long time.
Indeed.
KK Norman in the house. Great to see you. You were watching the show with Wayne. Summer afternoon rains have started in beautiful New Mexico. Jen says the stream glitched. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're going to switch. They are going to switch to a digital currency. As we know, they've been trying to do away with cash. And again, if you're not a good little boy or a little girl, they won't let you access your finances. This is all part of the Orwellian plan for the world. But again, certain countries much better than others, even though there is no such thing as a perfect country. And by far, there's no good, exceptionally good governments out there. They all need improving. June 25th, 2026. Look at the Schumann there. There was a good little whiteout. And our dear sister Renee from the San Francisco area had sent us a little note saying, check out the Schumann. Again, the consciousness of the planet is arising, and that is a beautiful thing.
It is. And, I think we're all feeling, a lot of people are really, really feeling it. So thanks for hanging in there with us. It's still going to be a bumpy ride. The planetary alignments, there's a couple of them that are moving in closer to each other that can make things really, really stormy and definitely bring us some energy of things that are completely unexpected. I mean, really unexpected. So, but definitely it will bring change, but how is it going to bring change, and what is that really going to look like, and what exactly will it entail? Don't know. Just expect the unexpected.
Quintress says, why are they doing it to us Americans? They're trying to do it to whoever they could. It does appear that there are different factions in this world government system. I do think there is an overseeing, again, deep state is the word so many people use, a shadow government that kind of oversees everything. But there are absolutely certain places, I think, that are a little bit better, treat their citizens a little bit better than others. But some of those that treat their citizens better than others end up being abused by the larger, more powerful countries. So, yeah, the Schumann, it's a sign of the times. I was checking the sun, and it was pretty tranquil overall. Buildings continue to collapse in Venezuela's coastal zone. More than 250 structures reduced to rubble, according to authorities. Not only the construction, but the characteristics on the terrain on which they stand have been changed. Yeah, this is it's just crazy what happened. And these quakes felt really weird. They happened so quick. And there is a term for what two quakes like that are called. They're called doublet earthquakes. In seismology, doublet earthquakes, and more generally, multiple earthquakes or twin earthquakes, were originally identified as multiple earthquakes with nearly identical waveforms originating from the same location. They are now characterized as distinct earthquake sequences having two or more main shocks with similar, slightly different magnitudes that occur twice in a single moment, literally within tens of seconds, but sometimes can be separated by years, this says. The similarity of magnitude, often within 0.4 tenths of a magnitude, distinguishes multiplet events from aftershocks, which start about 1.2 magnitude less than the parent shock and decrease typically over time. I was looking at this, and they gave some examples, and for the most part, all these doublet examples that they gave were relatively recent, modern times, last like 30, 40 years. So it just made me wonder more about, is this technology? Because the vibe I get is this was technology. That's what I feel. That's what I sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, to me, it just feels very planned out, just as deliberate as other times were, with the 9/11. I mean, it just feels just like that. It doesn't feel anything remotely accidental, or natural. There's just too much going on in the background, and you got to look at like how many coincidences circle, any given incident, and there's a lot of coincidences here with this one.
Yeah, and Jen and the Bird says, but Taylor Swift and Travis Kelsey or whatever their names are having $1 billion wedding at Madison Square Garden. Yeah, again, I just don't understand why people would be curious at all. It's just the energy. The energy that's given off is just so nasty, just like with Madonna. It's a dark energy, and it's kind of crazy that Madonna is still doing things. I think I saw on Drudge Report something like her last album was a huge success. It just boggles the mind.
Well, unless you look at it for what it is, so what she did for that success.
Yeah, and their rituals and stuff they do work. They do work, and sometimes the music, even if you don't like it, it sticks in your mind. It does. I mean, it's like I was working outside and I got that song in my head, the Madonna song, like a prayer or whatever. And it's like, I don't want that in my head. Why is it running in my head? It's almost like a little black magic thing, running in my head. I don't understand it. It's not like it's a favorite or anything. But see, this is it. It's kind of like programming. And yeah, absolutely. These are rituals. Absolutely, they are rituals. Missing persons reports exceed 35,000, hence the title. 35,000 people lost. Over 35,000 people lost. These are missing person reports. It's got to be such chaos there. I just want to, send prayers for everybody involved. And as I feel into it, oh my God, the sadness. One of the double-edged swords right now of this time is if you are energetically sensitive, you are becoming more empathic. Do you remember Star Wars when that Star Killer base destroys whole planets? By the way, that was based on reality in our deep past. This is again how they get away karmically or try to get away by telling us the truth. But you have Yoda that all of a sudden feels like he's going to faint or pass out because he's hearing and sensing the grief, the terror, and the pain that everybody was feeling at that point in time. The earth is changing. Everything is evolving. And we are getting more empathetic. Again, what we were talking to Wayne about, a new term, instead of NPCs, it was something like organic souls as opposed to, I guess, GMO souls. I don't know. There's another term out there. But yeah, this has killed at least 164 people. This is going to be changing constantly, injuring over 1,000. But 35,000 missing persons reports. 7.5 main shock was the strongest earthquake to strike Venezuela in over a century. That was exceeding the 6.6 Caracas earthquake back in 67. So, yeah, that was, wow, that was something. State of emergency, obviously, in effect. Hundreds of buildings damaged. It's just crazy. Now, there are estimates that are saying somewhere between 10,000 and 100,000 people could be dead. When you have 250 structures, which some are houses, others are buildings, apartment buildings like this that might house several hundred families. Oh my God. And look at some of these, just they're crooked. They're still, one good aftershock and some of these other ones could come down. Buildings are still randomly falling down.
Oh, I know. Isn't that scary? I mean, what I remember just when we did the last video on this guy took a video of a building just tumbling down and going into smoke right across from him. I mean, how terrifying can that be? And still, they're still falling. And Now look what we have. I mean, it's all just kind of a mess.
Oh, wow. So Susan says the songs that stick in your head are called earworms. Ooh, that's a yucky little term, isn't it?
It is. Yeah,
Wow.
that's icky. Wow.
So good to see you, Chris Brook from FEMA Region 4, Old Hickory, Tennessee, in the house. Sin Havoc, good to see you, Renee O'Leary. Renee O'Leary's bringing up, due to the hot weather, the prefecture of Paris has decided unilaterally to ban the consumption of alcohol in the city, starting at noon tomorrow. The sale of any alcohol is starting at 6 p.m. That's interesting. Alcohol is definitely something that taxes the body when it's very hot. Again, alcohol literally, I think it is in Arabic, translates to something like blood-sucking spirit or life force sucking spirit, literally.
It's pretty gross. So you got to wonder, they're not doing that out of compassion of their heart for the people to stop serving alcohol. Like, is it just so people don't get dehydrated? Or, I mean, you always have to wonder these days, really, what's the true background reason why they're doing it.
Can you imagine this?
Mierda, weón. Qué locura de esta mierda, weón. Acabó con el edificio. Mierda, weón. Yo acabo de subir del ascensor. Acabo de entrar.
Wow, that's just incredible. It's just, man, again, we're sending our prayers for everybody out there.
Oh, yeah, that's really terrible. I mean, and it's still ongoing. I'm just in shock. You know how much water that's going to take care of all those people? You know how long they're going to be pulling people out of the rubble? I mean, this is just such a nightmare. This is a huge, huge, huge nightmare, and it has other implications that are building up behind it right now. Right now. I mean, right now, yeah, it's the phase where they're trying to pull people out of the rubble, but things go bad and things get in the water and the water goes bad and people are unable to clean themselves and disease starts to spread and it just, it compounds. And this is something that they have to go through, the horror that they're probably going to see. This really yucky.
And congratulations, Oneness, 3 weeks without the ghoul. And, 16 years over there. Chris Brook, congratulations. That's awesome, especially as a musician. And thank you, Brother Robbie, for the super chat. We couldn't do it without you and all your help.
Thank you so much, you guys. And congrats to the others.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a big change for me too, because I grew up in a family where it was okay, to have alcohol as even a 16-year-old. It was okay. I could have one beer with my father, etc. And I just got used to it, and all adulthood until really when the plague upon the land came, and that's when I just stopped. And I love to have a beer at happy hour or a glass of wine. And, we still have a bottle I'm keeping in the fridge. It's like 7 years old now. I even have 4 non-alcoholic beers in the fridge. They're non-alcoholic, but I still haven't even really had the desire to taste it anymore. So here's your question. Do you believe we possess technology that can cause earthquakes? At a 2023 whistleblower conference in Washington, D.C., former Raytheon contractor whistleblower Eric Hecker talked about off-world communications and earthquake-generating devices. Unfortunately, when they first fired it up, we had an earthquake in Christchurch, New Zealand. This is an earthquake-generating device. These are the weapons of war that we have to deal with now and what Raytheon's hiding. And it's being done with your tax dollars, these trillions that go somewhere and they don't know where it goes. Yeah, but the IRS, again, will hassle you. The government will take your property, et cetera, and they're making things that could cause earthquakes. Yeah. Every single natural disaster that occurs, I am increasingly suspicious of. Well, that's good. You're waking up. So this is, again, the person saying that they were in Antarctica and they functioned in a dual purpose role. And when they fired up a technology in Antarctica, it caused an earthquake in New Zealand. And they know it did. So, again, I think, why did they do this? Because I think this is more of a warm-up. I hate to say it, but I feel this is more of a warm-up for, bigger ones to come. When you look at the Great Resets and we wonder, how could we have had this mud flood type of event? Well, if they could trigger earthquakes like this out of the blue, yeah, they could do a lot. And there's directed weapons from the sky as well. Here you have Al Jazeera's Nora Soto exposes the tragic reality in Venezuela, confirms the government's completely incapable of helping earthquake victims because the country, I always say company, well, they're one and the same, really, has been destroyed by a severe 20-year political and economic crisis. And again, you could look back to this and you'll find that Venezuela never really went along with certain families' banking systems. It's true. It's just true. It's really undeniable. And so here they are. They cannot handle it themselves. Then we have Trump saying the U.S. is ready to help after twin quakes level apartment towers in Venezuela. USGS warns the death toll could hit 100,000. This could be one of the worst we've seen in modern times. Chevron said all of its oil operations in Venezuela remain operational. Okay, of course, the corporations will keep going. The people, that's something different. Venezuela's key refining hub near the quake's epicenter are operating normally. No impact at all. Trump says U.S. ready to help. Again, death toll between 10,000 and 100,000. That's just a preliminary estimate. And you have the U.S. standing ready, willing, and able to help. Trump has instructed all agencies of our government to get ready to move quickly. We will be there for our new and great friends. Early reports are not good. U.S. Secretary of State Rubio wrote on X, America stands with the Venezuelan people during the difficult time. And at the direction of President Trump, the State Department is immediately deploying search and rescue teams, medical resources, and humanitarian assistance to Venezuela. I guess the question is, how much do they really know? It's just going through my head now, wondering exactly what Marco Rubio knows, or even Trump for that matter. I don't think these people are really on the top of that need-to-know list, believe it or not. That sounds crazy, but as you wake up to the reality that there is a government behind the government, and there's shadowy figures, manipulating things, how much do they just simply respond to what the real government's doing?
I think, what happens, like if I really look at it, it seems like daily they wake up and they have their play set in front of them, like what they're supposed to do for the day. It feels like they can get information up to like a month prior as far as what's going to happen. But really, it's more about these guys that wake up in the morning and they look at their list of how are they supposed to read the cue cards? What are they supposed to say? What can they expect? Are there, will there be shootings this day? Will there be a bombing this day? I think they get all that upon awakening in their morning meeting. Like, this is how you are supposed to behave today. Where the real script writers are very much behind the scenes. There are still a couple people behind the scenes, and they're the ones who play out the bigger picture. And then there's a set of humans that, of course, give Marco Rubio and Trump or whoever, they give them their cue cards. And, it's just sort of all the evidence washes away when you look behind the politicians as far as where does this information come from. They definitely do not want that to be clear.
Right. And there you have a before, and here you have the after. It's amazing how much it looks like Gaza, right? Or Lebanon. So there's a lot of ways to get through a great reset. As far as, how does this happen where everything seems to be reduced in some areas to rubble? It could be war, could be earthquakes, could be fires, right? Think about all the wildfires we've seen in different places, that end up just melting metal. It's just everywhere you look. This is what's been happening, and it's been just increasing. Gosh, you could hear them breathing so hard. I mean, it's something that is very, very hard to get through. And then we have the heat. Spain estimates 212 heat-related deaths in 4 days. 4 days. And the other component of the war being in place is that, again, at any time, you're going to have more and more disruptions to things. And energy is one, food is another. I really think that come, say December, things are going to be way more challenging than they are even right now, because things are building up. This is, again, pretty wild heat wave, 104 degrees temps and higher. So 212 heat-related deaths in 4 days there. Over here in the U.S., you have critical fire weather outlook issued for Utah, Arizona, and Nevada. Again, winds could be an issue with getting that going. And then red warning for extreme heat issued for third consecutive day in the UK too. The thing we don't realize here in the south of the United States, everybody has AC. Just like everybody in Phoenix and Vegas has AC. You cannot survive really without AC in Phoenix or Vegas. I really don't think it's possible.
No, I wonder, how did the natives do it? Because they did, but were things really truly that hot, a couple hundred years ago? Were they? I know they say they have records, but how honest are they, those nameless, faceless beings that are in charge of the show?
Yeah, exactly. So, the UK here, they're getting up to 104 as well. That's extreme for this area. That's real extreme. And by the way, AI uncovers nearly 1,000 hidden earthquakes underneath East Antarctica. East Antarctic ice sheet and the western are very different. And actually, there's a lot of volcanoes that are active over there as well. It is very, very curious that you have maps, like Piri Reis map, that shows the coastline without ice. This is from 1500-ish. It's not the only one. So, I mean, did the weather change so drastically? Greenland, it's the stupidest naming job ever done on maps. Greenland, it's all ice, but at one point in time it was green. And in fact, when you look to some of the stories of some of the Nordic explorers that were heading over there at first, it seems that it was a lot more hospitable way back there, 500, maybe 1,000 years back, than it is now. So I think the important takeaway is that our world, somebody somebody has the controls of our climate, so to speak. And I do think it could change drastically very, very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think anything, just about anything is possible right now with the world and the way it's going. I think yesterday was a huge wake up call for many as far as the frequency of this earth, how it's changing, how frequency can change our bodies, how, why is it when you go in for energy work that, things start to move and shift around you if you've had blocks removed all of a sudden those things in life that were not there for you are suddenly there. The energy and frequency change can really make a big difference on the human body. You can even get an alignment and then wake up sore the next day because that energetic alignment shifted you into a more centered state. And then the body is trying to shift back to where it knows it's supposed to be, and that can make muscles sore. So just think about that on such a small scale with the human body and then go up to a planetary level. Maybe these earthquakes that we're seeing, they are a reaction of that type of frequency shift. And who knows where that frequency truly came from.
Yeah, absolutely. So a 3-year-old boy was found dead in a car in a Paris suburb. That's the type of thing, again, when you get used to places that are real hot, having lived in Death Valley with Cindy, you just got to be aware of these things. Like, you just don't turn off the car and go into the store. You have to leave the car running, and you have to lock it and then come back and unlock it. You just don't do that. The other thing, too, is, everything you can't buy ice cream, literally, and make it home in time before it's all melted. Oh, man, there's things you got to know. And if you're not used to it, and that's the biggest point, these people are not used to this type of temperature. So it could become very, very deadly very quick.
Well, yeah, you have to keep your body cool, and there's certain things that you can do out in the blazing heat that'll keep your body cool. But if you don't know that, and this is your first time and you're winging it, trying to deal with the heat, I could see, wow, people can really, really, really get sick because there's a learning curve to dealing with the heat. This is just really awful and horrible for those that it caught by surprise.
Yeah, and again, the other thing I didn't mention was they know there's many people that are trapped in the rubble that they're not able to get to in Venezuela. So please do, again, put out your prayers. Your prayers matter. Your prayers really do matter. Put out your intent that people will be found, that they will be protected. Again, a guardian angel, which I do think we all have guardian angels and angels looking over us. They might not be able to lift part of a building off somebody, but they can find ways to get somebody else's attention to get them to the right person at the right time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, for sure.
So I just want to mention that again. The UN has officially declared Gaza a genocide. Wow. Yeah, again, it's hard to not see it in that light. It's really, really, it's just so sad what we've been witnessing. And here we have Dowagiac Data Center to deploy Chinese humanoid robots to support development of autonomous workflows. What does that mean? They're going to replace everybody's jobs with robots and AI. And this technology company that we're talking about, they're going to be employing 30 humanoid robots. Think about that, from a Chinese manufacturer in Michigan. This is in Michigan. And they began production of the robots earlier this month, part of a broader plan to employ 142 humanoid robots at the facility to support the development of embodied AI applications, autonomous workflows, advanced robotics system. The data center is facing complaints and a class action lawsuit from local residents who say the facility emits constant noise. We shared with you our dear friend, Karma Doc. You guys know her, Karma Doc, our Dr. Renee, who has a farm up in Michigan, who just filed a lawsuit again against a data center going in. This is what we got to do. We have to make a stand here. We have to get out there and support each other in this.
Yeah, definitely get involved at the lower levels if it's a problem, and if you have time and if you're concerned about it, definitely get in there. We need voices.
Yeah, every voice counts. And, I think we need to be as annoying as possible. And we have to just keep pushing, keep pushing. It's not just the noise, it's the energy that it's emitting. And then 142 humanoid robots. Does it not freak out anybody else? I mean, I've watched enough Star Wars, to recognize that you could arm drones pretty quick. Think about that. When you're talking about 142 humanoid robots at a company, the potential there, what would that be if you armed them with, like, automatic rifles, etc.? 142 humanoid robots could probably do an enormous amount of damage. How many people would it take to overcome 142 humanoid robots, really?
Right. I mean, if they can go nonstop, they don't have to stop for a drink or go to the bathroom or anything.
Yeah, I tell you, in my gut, they are to replace us. That's part of what they're doing. They are absolutely going to replace us. And take our jobs, sure. But then also, they're going to replace us in police forces and military. Why would they do that? So that when humans have had enough and humans start to say, no, we're not going along with this, they'll have a way to point, weapons at us and say, oh, yes, you are. This is, again, part of the big reveal on the awakening. There are already armies out there of, droids, robotics. This is huge. And drones. The drone is like the number one weapon of warfare at this point in time. They're always using drones first. And drones do a huge amount of weaponry and harm on the battlefield. When you got humans that will say, no, sir, I cannot carry out that order. It goes against my ethics. It goes against, everything that I believe in. Well, if the programming of the robot is such that it just simply obeys orders, it's going to obey orders. And that might mean shooting on a human.
It could. It could, and they're gonna paint this rosy picture about how useful they are, but I haven't seen anything good. I haven't seen the AI or robots been used to cure cancer. I mean, or really give us longevity or figure out ways to make sure that there's enough healthy food for everyone. I haven't seen AI calculate all the different ways that you can utilize pest control and not harm the other beings that are around it. I haven't seen AI really do too much for our longevity. It seems to be just the opposite, and I think people are finally seeing it and they're coming together. And for once, I'm proud to be part of this sheeple, because there's a lot of people now that are angry about the data centers. And then that should really tell us something else too, that the data centers, and the anger, that this is elicited, this is deliberate. Anytime something catches hold and it's huge and it becomes very, very, very popular and just gets around really easy, that is something that the controllers definitely want you to see. So our anger to them is important, and we need to note that and make sure we're using our anger in a positive way, because anger can either be used to sharpen a sword, or anger can be used to burn your house down. And I think we would need to be very mindful that we're sharpening our swords every single day. We are doing something, to benefit other human beings, because they are not, this is a different alien species that is in charge right now. This is not okay. And they've made themselves so evident. We still need to keep waking up more people.
Do you know there's over 2 million robots already in China? 2 million robots being used in industry in China. China accounts for 85 to 90% of global humanoid robot production, which is way higher than Tesla or others. South Korea leads the world in robot density, boasting over 1,010 robots per 10,000 manufacturing employees. So basically, there's one robot for every 10 employees right now in the manufacturing industry in South Korea. That's huge. I bet you within a decade there could be more than 8 billion robots on this planet.
Yeah, there very well could be. That's definitely a concern.
And then again, you don't need to have the backing of humans when you have that type of military and, technology behind you. This is really turning into quite a sci-fi movie life that we are living out here. Unlike anything I've seen in 40 years, explosion in data centers and memory costs fueling third inflation wave. They're always looking to find ways to make more money. As we know, billionaires, well, they just want to be a trillionaire next. What comes after that? I don't know. But here you go. This is causing a massive spike. You have a 15 to 25% price hike Apple announced on Mac computers and iPads. Shouldn't this stuff all be getting cheaper? Right? That jump in cost was unlike anything that Tim Cook had seen in over 40 years. Apple spokesperson placed the blame on rapid expansion of AI data centers. Oh, so the reality is they're getting us to pay for the data centers again. Now I get it.
And I mean, just talking about AI and the data centers, people are showing me in the chat, you guys, they're either changing words or they're blocking some people. Right now, they're blocking Jen and the birds from even speaking. And we do know darn good and well that's not our end. That's not our end. In fact, Jen has been so very helpful to help us during these. And now they're making it they're making it so that can't help us as much. So I just want you guys to know that, I'm so sorry if you get blocked or if you don't get seen. We try to keep this a very safe place. So if there's a disturbance, we might put someone in timeout, but nothing like this. This is horrible. And especially not with our Jen and the birds. That is just horrible. So I'm really sorry if that happens to anyone. We have no control on this side.
So, yeah, I saw Kelly was talking about a fire in Jemez Springs. This is a beautiful area. They had evacuations underway. It's that time of year. So this is in New Mexico. Actually, one of my favorite campsites in the entire country. It's just beautiful up there. Had an encounter with either a bear or a Bigfoot. I don't know what it was, but all I know it was big and it was right next to me in the middle of the night. As I was camping out there with Zeke's, and Zeke jumped up on top of me, and it was like Zeke was telling me, "Shh, be quiet."
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So there's the dogs, and there's Jen and the birds is back. So she's gonna keep helping. Thank you, Jen. Appreciate it.
So here you go. 24 days of mass protests that seem to be just getting bigger. In Albania, as we know, it's over again, Jared Kushner and co. buying some land. This system has to change. We cannot stand for this. No single individual should hold the energy that is there in $1 billion worth of assets. It's ridiculous. Nobody needs it. It only serves greed and ego. This is very, very lower frequency thinking, and it also is very, very harmful to others and the environment. So, I think this is part of the mass consciousness shift that has to happen. We have to recognize when something is just ridiculous and wrong. And again, when we start to recognize that there are certain situations that happen And then you have people swooping in automatically with tremendous, elaborate plans to rebuild something because of a natural disaster, a war. Again, it could be an earthquake, it could be a fire, it could be, any sort of thing. And they automatically are swooping in with these big plans to rebuild. You got to be suspicious and wonder if it was a manufactured event just to give them the opportunity to make more money. And if you're going to question the government, what are they going to do? Well, in Spain, the prime minister unveils a plan to control the internet and cut free speech off. Censorship is spreading like a virus across Europe. Are we heading into a digital prison? Well, I think the EU is. We have a lot of friends and family over there. But I think the EU is one of the worst places to be right now. It seems that it's the most Orwellian at this point in time. There's a lot of runner-ups, but EU has been kind of running off and away with some of these rules. And again, when the government just wants to shut you up because people are catching on, this is what they do. This is what they do. Think back to what you're seeing in Albania. So Spain, take action and let them know that you're not happy with this. These people could all be replaced. They can all be replaced. Again, it's not the best people that rise to the top in this system. It's the ones that are the most willing to sell out everybody they're supposed to be representing.
Yeah, that it's getting pretty bad.
Absolutely. It's a popularity contest. When, again, it's about the money. The more money you have, the more popular you could be because you're paying off people. And this is part of the big awakening. And this was just basically a poll. 53% of Americans see grounds to impeach Trump. And approval supposedly at around 30%. I just don't know how anybody could approve of any government on this planet, really. There's some that are getting closer to being almost acceptable, but no, most of them completely worthless.
I think so. I think that there's really no use in a lot of those higher ups.
Yeah. Prince William is a billionaire, by the way. He's actually richer than King Charles, they say. A billionaire, yeah. Again, these people, they're above the law, apparently, and they're rich. And again, how much money does anybody need? Seriously, I don't even know. Do people think of $1 million as being wealthy, or do people now think of having $1 million in assets as just being, just to getting by?
I guess it depends on the mindset. It's like how much do you need to feel satisfied? And I think there's a saying like, one is too many and 1,000 never enough if you have a certain personality.
Yeah, money does not equate to happiness. It is true that it seems like some of the most miserable people are those that are making the most money, but I think it's because they're conscious. Their conscious is bothering them in some cases. Again, that getting ahead at any cost. It's a sad situation. Rand Paul says he now has emails showing that Fauci sent documents to Francis Collins with the instructions, read it and destroy it, which is against the law. You're not allowed to do that in the executive branch. This is a good chance that Rand Paul says that they could put Fauci behind bars because the pardon is too vague and too long to hold up in court. Again, it's mind-blowing that these people have not been in any way really reprimanded. What would be a fair and just sentence for Fauci or that Gil Bates character again? They're above the law. It's like they're not even part of the rest of humanity. Maybe they're not.
I don't think they're human. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It looks human, but it might not be human. This is part of the reality. AI is rapidly advancing, but what if AI already was at the point we think it is now like 100 years ago, 200 years ago. There's an awful lot of strange anomalous events that have been out there throughout the ages. And the Supreme Court just derailed thousands of lawsuits against Monsanto for glyphosate causing cancer. In a 7-2 ruling, they sided with Monsanto and blocked cancer victims from suing over missing cancer warnings. You know, it's more than ridiculous. They are literally costing people their lives, and somehow they have a legal loophole. You know, if they are above the law, then we need to change the law. It's just that simple. And if, you know, the judges are all on the payroll, which obviously they are, they need to be replaced. It's just that simple.
I would think so. And I wouldn't think that it would be so extremely hard. But maybe that's why we need to get more involved at the lower levels, because everyone who's been there, maybe they need some, they need some fresh energy. Maybe they need some inspiration, because all the people that do go to like township meetings, maybe they're stagnant, maybe they're stale, maybe they need a backup. I really think if you have the time and if you feel called, that's something positive that we can do with our healing energy as light workers.
Sad news in South Carolina. Rhinos just killed the over-the-counter ivermectin bill by sending it to committee. And, again, it's both the left and the right. There's, corruption on both sides. All you got to do is look at the biggest donors. They give money to both sides. They don't just give money to the Democrats. They give it to the Democrats and the Republicans. So whoever ends up being the party in power, they control that. They control it through the money and through the gifts. And again, lobbying is bribery. There should be no such thing as lobbying. And meanwhile, ticks that cause the red meat allergies are spreading across the U.S. The Lone Star ticks expanding, and more cases of the alpha-gal. Again, there are treatments in regards to acupuncture that can work. Again, I think we need to always be looking at detoxing and boosting your immune system. Detox, boost your immune system. A lot of times when I'm listening to different people in different industries, like if it's a video about motorcycles or UFC fights and stuff, and the guy is just sniffling and sneezing and saying, oh, my allergies are getting to me, I'll just say something like, you need to detox. Because when you have allergies, that means your body is going through inflammation. It means that you're having a hard time cleansing yourself on a cellular level. So, yeah, allergies equal to me, in my mind. And again, we're not medical professionals. We're just lay people. Again, we haven't gone through the Rockefeller indoctrination process, although we're aware of it. But from our experience, it literally means you just need to detox. You need to boost your immune system, give your body what it needs to clean the toxins out of your body. It's a toxic overload syndrome.
And there's a lot to it too. You have to make sure your detox pathways are open, and your body needs to do certain things to be able to mop up and sweep up the mess, put it in the lymph, and have the lymph, ship it on out. So it really is, it's a learning curve with the human body, but there's more than enough ways that humans can heal when we find out the appropriate actions to take when it comes to detoxing.
Yes, and please do make sure you guys are subscribed. We do appreciate the thumbs up. It really does help with the algorithms. We need all the help we can get there. And thank you if you are able to hype videos. I think we all get 3 hypes a week, something like that. Again, they're going to be popping more and more of these laws in on us all the time, rules and regulations. Hydroxychloroquine. This states that it does not just block viruses, it reprograms them into big C hunters. Oh, that's interesting, is it not? Again, why would there be a problem finding the stuff? And it's more than that. They don't want to have things. It really seems to me, and this is just my opinion, this is just for entertainment, It really, one would be suspicious that they really don't want to get to the root cause of things and actually alleviate problems. It seems like it's just all about, sales, and more sales. Now, this guy says, I use a pinch of borax in water every time I remember to. Says amazing benefits, pulls metals from the body, alkalizes the body, allows the body to utilize free testosterone and zinc and more. And in this too, he just talks about the ingredients. It's labeled as a cleaner. We have this in the house. It's really useful for a lot of different things. And when he said, you just look at it, it's just got 4 simple ingredients. So he's gotten in the habit of taking about 1/8 of a teaspoon in water each day. And he notices that he's feeling better and better and better. A lot of issues that he have been going away. Putting borax in the bath can be a very good thing. Again, it can help with heavy metal issues.
Oh, definitely. You truly, truly want to start slow though, because if there's a lot of toxins in the body, you don't want a huge die off, and you could give yourself like a Herxema effect where the toxins in your body turn around and give you some other problem like rashes and, just make you super, super sick. So whatever you do, you want to first research it, make sure it's safe for you and your specific situation. And then you want to go at it really slow and have a lot of patience and stay hydrated.
When you think about every little thing that we were always being drilled by the authorities on, and how we now are getting studies that show things like this, major study finds melanoma risk nearly quadruples if you're a sunscreen user. Hello? Yeah. Again, we haven't used sunscreen in a long time, over 10 years, and the thing I've noticed too is I don't get sunburn. And I've been in Death Valley, out there in the sun, hiking for hours on time, or down here in the South. It's a lot of things. Whatever you put on your skin, to some degree, gets absorbed into the body and into the system.
It sure does. I mean, if you don't want to eat it, you don't want it on your skin.
That's a big realization. And again, ladies look to makeup and things like that. An extensive Swedish study followed 30,000 women for 20 years. That's a big study because usually you don't get those type of numbers. They discovered that those who actively sought out sun exposure had drastically lowered mortality rates from cancer, heart disease, and all causes. People who avoided the sun had roughly double the overall mortality. Hardened smokers who got a lot of sun exposure had mortality rates similar to that of non-smokers who avoided it. Sunlight appears to prolong life thanks to vitamin D, nitric oxide, and strengthening of the immune system. However, we're still told we should avoid it. Well, maybe because the people telling us are vampires in more ways than one.
Yeah, they're telling us.
It's crazy. Well, why would they do that? Because again, they want to sell you things that they can make money on. And, the sun, getting out in the sun, how could they make money on that? In fact, they're spending money, mostly our money, to block the sun. Gil Bates, again, has all these plans on blocking the sun. So if blocking the sun is going to increase mortality, well, I think he must have read that study, I would think. Chemtrails hitting the water, helicopter caught. What's it doing? What is he doing? Maybe it's ticks. Could be ticks.
Yeah, spraying ticks or spraying for ticks.
Yeah, or spraying ticks.
This one bit me the second it hit the water.
So, and just think about that too. What are they spraying? And then you bring your fish home and it's dinner because you're ingesting whatever it is. So no matter what it is, you are eating it if you're eating fish out of this lake, river, pond.
I mean, it's just so frustrating the way it is. And what do you do?
Yeah, Sin Havoc talks about them building a Dyson sphere. I think one's already been in place, actually. Robert Kennedy Jr. just revealed Wi-Fi radiation causes cancer, talking on the Joe Rogan show. Again, there's so much that he has come out with over the years. It's just, a laundry list. I find it hard to be upset with him, compared to most of the other politicians out there. But yet again, we just did get those mandates in for your flu, so there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Glyphosates, microplastics, flame retardants in furniture. Yeah, there's so much stuff. Never sleep with your phone nearby. Never hold your phone to your head. Never carry your phone in your chest pocket, and never put it next to where, because again, sperm count's getting pretty low, guys.
Yeah, it's getting worse.
F. Sands just banned moringa leaf from being sold as a food in Australia. This is the same miracle leaf that's basically spinach for millions worldwide. It's been eaten safely for 1,000 years. Why are they making moringa illegal? Because it could make you healthier. So, in effect, what's the deduction here? It's that it seems like the governments are out to get us.
I know. I mean, it just really seems kind of weird.
Yeah. I mean, are you serious? You're going to ban a healthy substance? And moringa, it's a plant. So couldn't you classify this as food? This is just so beyond obvious. Wake up, people. Man, Australia, New Zealand. Guys, you gotta push harder. A recent study found sunlight penetrates through the human body and rapidly improves mitochondrial function. So mitochondria are the powerhouse in the cells. This is the midichlorians from Star Wars, when he talks about the midichlorians and your ability to use the force, which is very real. The force is chi. It's ki. It's prana. It's real. It's, our main practice and my main practice for going back, close to 40 years now, somewhere in the late 30s. I've been doing this forever. And I really do think I probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my Qigong practice. Originally, I used it to help me heal from 2 ruptured discs. L4 and L5 were ruptured. I was squatting 500 pounds like an idiot, and I leaned too far forward, and it was like fire down the legs. It was brutal. I was told, you're never going to exercise again. I was 28, 29 years old. And now, going to be turning 61. And I still work out almost every single day. I did everything they said I wouldn't do. And this was, again, the surgeon, the guy that wanted to do the surgery, which I didn't get the surgery done because, as I've learned, when you go ahead and fuse discs, it usually causes problems in the adjacent discs. So I was able to heal myself with the Qigong and also the use of an inversion table and yoga. That was it. And I'm sure getting the sunlight definitely helped to boost everything overall.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, the sunlight is so good for you. It can really, really help the nervous system as well. And that nervous system is critical to everything else that you're doing. Okay. Oh, DMSO is really, really good. So that's something when I was extremely, extremely sick, I got into and I started learning about. And it's just something that, it's one of those things, if used correctly, it can correct a lot of things. So this one says this 75-year-old man who's been blind since birth suddenly regained his eyesight after using DMSO to treat sinusitis. It cleared his sinuses instantly, Murray said. But what it did to his sight was unbelievable. For the first time in his life, he was finally able to see color in his left eye. And when he kept using DMSO, his vision kept improving. He could make out details and even count fingers, something he could never do before. It might sound like coincidence, but DMSO has been repeatedly shown to heal eye issues medicine still can't solve, like blindness, macular degeneration, floaters, and cataracts. Now, always your source is very important. You want a really good source. And if you're dealing with something with your eyes, I would go to more of a natural path and have them help you out with that situation. But this proves that there are so many things that can be utilized over the counter that can really help shift us in such a magnificent way. If you're not getting, if you're trying to do things naturally, it's not working. You go to the Western medical system, it's not working, and then you have to come back to square one and figure out where you went wrong. I mean, people have such weird things wrong with their bodies. Western medicine is not going to heal you. It's there to hold you together, but it's not going to find the root cause of the issue.
So, again, why did they ban DMSO, the FDA and all? Again, it costs pennies. It's not really super expensive. It's not going to bring in the money, when you compare it to what some of these other substances bring in. I mean, when you look at how the pharmaceutical industry operates, if they manufacture something for 2 cents, by the time it gets to you, it could literally be $25, $30. It's literally that type of markup. It's insanity. But this is the reality. So yeah, I use this too when I had 4 nasty tick bites about 6 to 8 weeks ago. All of them blistered. They literally blistered. I was very, very concerned because I've had Lyme's before. I actually had rheumatoid arthritis caused by Lyme, which went away. How did it go away? Detoxing, fasting, again, boosting the immune system, eating things like moringa, all the things that, again, they poo-poo. It's just part of the reality of the world that we're in. So I did use DMSO, I used black seed oil, and I used activated charcoal. And that basically, it rectified the oozing wounds. These were really weird tick bites. And they were the only ones that ever did that. So I don't know what that batch was, but it was something that was nasty. So, what do? Whenever we feel anything that might be coming on, we chop up garlic, we let it sit out for 10, 15 minutes. We eat it throughout the day, just, cloves of garlic, raw, on a regular basis, maybe every few hours. We use colloidal silver as well. And then we'll do fasting. I did a 72-hour water fast, black coffee, herbal tea. That reset my whole immune system, and I felt great.
Yes, and things like that, and then doing a fast, stopping all sugars, and that includes any starches, pasta, bread, fruit, everything. Just stop the sugars, and if you utilize these tools, 99% of the time, you're gonna see huge results.
So here is a guy, and he is EMFing. High frequency spikes every 5 to 6 seconds, no visible source. A man films his electromagnetic field detector, high frequency mode only. Every 5 to 6 seconds, a clear spike appears. Red and green lights flashing, then everything calms down before it starts up again regularly. His phone is turned off. There's no visible electronics nearby. When he switches to full detection mode, all frequency, nothing appears. It's only in high frequency mode that the pulse returns in a rhythmic pattern. So, hypothesis circulating, these regular pulses could come from 5G or 6G towers or communication infrastructure sending synchronization or control signals at precise intervals. Some also see it as possible signature of surveillance systems or direct energy technologies. The fact that it's invisible in normal mode and only detectable in high frequency reinforces the idea that these waves are specifically designed to go unnoticed. Well, yeah, again, what are they doing to our health is the question. Is this from satellites up there? Satellites. Is it from beings that are not visible to the eye?
You gotta ask.
It could be. Maybe it could be more than one of those things at the same time. Here, by the way, is a patent. This present invention provides methods and compositions for the remote control of cell function based on the use of radio frequency waves to excite nanoparticles targeted to specific cell types. The nanoparticles may be applied to the target cell extracellular or expressed intracellularly. Isn't that interesting? This is 2016. Who's the investors again? It goes all the way back to the Rockefellers when you look at this. Rockefellers, Rothschilds, the same families come up time and time again. And then you got this. Is this real? I don't know, guys. I don't know. I'm just going to see. You tell me, is this real? Watch up here too. There's some sort of light up there. Now, this could be AI, or, even if it is AI, it could be a representation of something that's very real. What do you think?
I think it's pretty cool. If nothing else, AI is coming up with some pretty cool entertainment.
Yeah, directed energy weapons, though, are a reality. Again, when you look at everything that's been melted, when you think about Antarctica, now this Oliver Tree that had the helicopter crash, oh boy, he did a lot of things that were ticking off the wrong people. He was talking about alien bases in Antarctica. He was talking about the Hollywood celebrities being replaced. You're not seeing any of the original people. They're all long gone. They're buried somewhere, or maybe worse things than buried. It's not who you're looking at. You're looking at replacements. He was talking about all this stuff, and he live streamed when he didn't know he was live streamed, and he was drunk, and he was spilling the beans on tons of stuff. And then he has a helicopter crash accident, and he's no longer here. Is that just another coincidence? What do you guys think?
I don't know. It's just those darn coincidences.
Yeah, so get out there, enjoy the weather. If you have a pool, go jump in it, or a stream or a lake nearby. I don't know, maybe test the water, but then jump in. This little guy's testing the water. And I will say, Loka Samasta Suki no Bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free, and may my thoughts, words, actions, and deeds contribute in some way to the happiness and freedom of all. And Cindy's going to give us some dings.
I am, but I really want to leave you guys with this tonight. I want you to really let this sink in. So your nervous system is the soil in which your thoughts grow. Tend to the soil before judging the garden. That is so important. That is so important. Be very mindful of yourself and look at the soil. And if there's things going on in your life that are not good, there could be some deficiencies there. There could be, you might need certain things to go in your soil of life so that you can function to your highest and best capabilities. So definitely tend to the soil in life. Make sure you're getting in good, clean food, water, good company. You're spending some time with your hands, using your hands and reading, not locked into the phone. That's really important. All of these things help tend to the soil of your life. So with that, I'm going to do some dings here. Give me just a moment. You guys are so amazing and wonderful. I want to say thank you. If anyone needs extra prayer, we do have a prayer board on the community tab. But also right now, currently, we are still saying prayers for Lori and Steve and our very dear friend Carrie. And here's prayers for anyone going through a very difficult time, that you find a way, you find a means, and you get yourself grounded and healthy and stronger than ever, and that you get through these trials and take all the wisdom that life has to offer you with you forever and always. You guys are wonderful. Source bless and namaste.